and welcome back to another episode of The Book Stop. I'm your host Jen, and I'm very excited to talk about today's episode. But before we begin, there will be spoilers as we talk about major events that unfold within the story. In addition, each episode will have a list of trigger warnings in the description. Be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at The Book Stop Podcast, and show your support on Patreon for early access to episodes and other additional content. And welcome back to another episode of The Book Stop, and today we are joined by Abby.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Jen, for letting me be here again.
Thank you for coming back. We had a great time. We talked about Frida Kahlo's book, and now we're back with another one. And what did you bring for us to talk about today, and why did you bring it?
Today I brought Speak, Find Your Voice, Trust Your Gut, and Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be by Tunde Oyeneyin. I'm sorry if I messed that up.
Tunde Oyeneyin, I think.
I'm familiar with Tunde because of Peloton. I don't have a Peloton and I've never been on it, but she's a viral Peloton instructor and I follow her on Instagram, but that's what kind of drew me to the book and really getting to know more about Tunde and her story from being a young adult up until present day is really inspiring and very interesting to me personally. I love to learn about people and their life experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to talk about it. But before we begin, we're going to play a little game.
Ready.
So you are going to summarize this book in 30 seconds, and whenever you're ready, you may begin.
The book starts off when she is a teenager and kind of her journey through life as a Nigerian woman, growing up in the US, living through her culture, but she goes through a lot of trials and tribulations. She talks about body image, she talks about her journey through career choices and her experience through the Black Lives Matter movement, and she has quite a few people in her life that died. Just really uplift and use her voice, uplift other people through her experiences, through life, and it's really inspiring to be able to listen to her story.
All right, yeah, awesome. So I'm going to summarize it for anybody who hasn't heard of Tunde and what this book is about. On any given day, thousands of devoted people settle into their bikes and have their lives changed by Tunde. From her platform in a Peloton studio, she encourages riders with her trademark blend of positivity, empathy, emotional Tundeism to push themselves to their limits both on and off the bike. Readers everywhere can learn about her personal journey and discover how they, too, can live a life of purpose on purpose. With this memoir manifesto guide to life as she takes us through each step of the SPEAK acronym: surrender, power, empathy, authenticity, and knowledge. So, in this book, what would you say is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is, I believe in the intro, "Embracing uncertainty empowers you to take risks." And then continues on a little bit later to say, "The beauty of uncertainty I've found is infinite possibility." So it's kind of like a two-parter. I really like it because uncertainty we can all relate to. Honestly, the past couple years, I've been through a lot of uncertainty, and it does allow me to take risks, but the way that I take risks, I consider it to be like a calculated risk. So I have a strategy behind what risk I'm taking, and I've already weighed the pros and cons. And so reading that really solidified the feeling and the actions that I've taken in the past dealing with uncertainty and risk.
Tunde, she definitely has moments when she kind of has that careless going forward, and then she also has that calculated side as well. She experiences both, and each one has their own outcome depending on. So, yeah. The one quote that I brought, she says, "Jess King once asked me, why do we say dance like no one is watching? Shouldn't we be able to dance freely when everyone is watching? She was right. When you are true to yourself, who cares who is watching? Why live freely only when there is no one around to witness it?"
Yes, ma'am!
Yes, queen! I love that quote so much, because it's like, yeah, why would we dance like no one is watching? Who cares if they watch? You should be dancing because people are watching, and that you should want to express yourself that way. And that's not necessarily being like actual dancing. It's any kind of form of art or your true self or anything like that. I just really like that quote, and I think it's like something that I live by now. I'm like, who cares if people Dance because people are watching, not
Right.
because no one is.
And you know what? They should probably take notes.
Well, I'm not a good dancer, so maybe not.
They can learn from your expression if it's not actual dance.
Okay.
You know, sometimes people need, like you said, they need to see someone being that bold and expressive for them to feel comfortable coming out of their shell or showing a similar type of expression. And it really allows people to tap into that energy that someone else exudes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes just having someone else on the same spectrum as you and feeling the same way, having that relatability is just, it's nice. It helps open people from their shell.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Makes everyone feel more comfortable.
My other quote's pretty small. So one common theme in here is that she uses a lot of quotes from other people within her writing that she, quotes. And she had one quote by David Viscott. I hope I said that right. Viscott. And his quote was, "The purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it. And the meaning of life is to give it away."
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's very short and sweet, but it also gives such a true meaning. You find your passion and you develop it and you pass it on to someone else. And I just really liked that quote.
It was beautiful. I remember that quote. And she, like you said, she does quote a lot of other people and lifts them up in a way to have them shine through their words.
Yeah, she does really well of introducing the quotes and getting them in there where it makes sense. They're not just kind of thrown in there. They're placed very delicately, and I like that. All right, so speaking of some likes, so what are some things that you liked about Speak?
There is not a lot I didn't like. I liked how raw she was and how vulnerable she expressed the hard times that she went through. And it's tough to go through death. Like I've experienced recently quite a lot. Here I go, crying now.
Take your time, you're right.
Yeah, she didn't stop living her life, even though she was going through traumatic experiences. It's really tough. She has a supportive family, but you have to be able to lean on people, find your people. She talks about finding your tribe or finding your chosen family, I think is actually what she said. It's so true because as we go through life, like I'll share with, if you choose to keep this in. I've recently had 2 grandparents pass away. We had to put one of our family dogs down. It's really hard to just keep going. You've got all of these commitments, you've got pay your bills, you gotta keep your head up and go to work. You have all of these responsibilities. So like having your tribe and your people is very important. I really respect Tunde. I mean, she has a platform and she has like a huge following from Peloton, but I would say it could have been a relatively risky choice to have this book be put out because she's only in her mid-30s.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people could judge her for having imposter syndrome, for being so young, like what have you actually experienced, and just being judged in general. But she is really her authentic self.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really respect her and I love her so much.
Yeah, she's amazing. Definitely gives the sense of you get lost in life and everything that feels so important right then and there. And you get so lost in life that you kind of forget to live your life and enjoy it and have those moments with the people that you care about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a little break?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Thanks. You can keep in the crying. I don't care, by the way.
Are you sure? I don't care. Okay.
Actually, maybe it'll help someone cry. Ooh, that would be like a major win. It'll creep up on them, I think. So it might be a smart choice to leave it in.
Okay. People are like, I'm turning this podcast off. It's too sad.
So funny.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the pacing of this book. I like that it was always moving and there wasn't any drag in it at all. I didn't feel myself, oh, can we get past this part already? I really liked the momentum that it had. I love the energy in this book too. Like you could definitely feel her energy through the words that she's written, and the pacing also plays into it. And I really love the mention of her background and learning her family's history.
Very informative, a great perspective from someone that we might never be friends with, but we can still experience through the book.
Yeah. So what are some things that you didn't like about this book?
I wished that there would have been pictures. Her journey and her story is so unique. She's very descriptive in the beginning of the book when she is, I want to say about 14 or 15. She's a teenager.
Yeah, she's a teenager.
they're going bridesmaid dress shopping with her family, and she's talking about this cobalt blue dress, and she talks about body image and how the dress shop didn't have her size. There were all of these colorful descriptions of the dress shop and the whole experience around that day and that period of time leading up to the wedding and dress shopping. I just wish there would have been pictures to go along with the flashbacks that she presents and talks about so vividly. And the book isn't long by any means, but there are certain pieces in there where I would have loved to see like young Tunde. That would have been really, really cute and really fun to look at. And then, so this isn't necessarily something I wish Tunde would have provided in the book, but something I wish Peloton would have done sooner that she discusses is, I want to say in 2019, she talks about her Speak Up ride that she does after the senseless police brutality to people in the Black community. And I really love hearing about that moment that she discusses and her feelings and like trying to uplift the community and just taking a risk in general to have her voice be heard. I loved reading about that, but what I didn't like, it's not necessarily on her, but Peloton and businesses need to act sooner instead of waiting for a popular time to be active and involved in humanity and moving progress forward. We see it a lot with all types of companies who try to use their corporate power to make a profit. Honestly, when you have Pride Month, you have Black History Month, you see all these cool, cute, trinkety things that come out, and they're still getting business through that. Even if they say it's like all of the proceeds are donated, it's still a marketing topic and a marketing point, and that's very calculated by businesses. And I wish Peloton would have stepped up sooner to really support and allow their customers and their instructors to speak up and share their voice sooner and allowed them that space to feel comfortable to do so. I don't believe that's anything that Tunde is responsible for, but it's something I was like, are you effing kidding me? Why does it take so long for some people to wake up? And I know part of that as a business deciding, like, when do we talk about what quote unquote sensitive topic, when is a good time for the business to talk about that, and when shouldn't we talk about it? I believe it's incumbent upon businesses, corporations, organizations to consistently be speaking on the right practices and right choices that reflect and impact humanity in a positive way. There's never a wrong time to speak about it, and that's what I was disappointed in seeing. Being your authentic self, like Tunde was in the Speak Up ride, they allowed her to use her platform for that, for good, and I really wish it would have come sooner.
So one big thing I want to talk about is how important representation matters, and not only for, the youth as they see products and social media, books, movies, all that kind of stuff. Seeing the representation matters so much. And then when you have a corporation that will, let's say Pride Month, next month they'll literally throw up a rainbow, and by the end of the month it's down and you won't see it again until next year. And it's kind of sick when you really think about it, because they just care about profit. Yes, again, things are go to donations, but how much of that's really going? And it's like you should care more about than just during Pride Month, just during Women's History Month, during African American History Month. Like, care about it all the time. It's nice that we do have months or weeks or days where we get to celebrate those things, but it should be something that's celebrated year-round, 24/7, 365 days a year, not just when it's sufficient and easier for the companies to do it.
Yeah.
Representation matters so much. Having that and having it shown to the world, it makes the idea of it a lot easier for the older generations to accept it, because let's be real, they're not going to. Not for a while, but representation makes it easier to make it okay and helps share those people's opinions on it. I agree. I think it's kind of sad to think about.
Yeah, because like you touched on, you put up a rainbow flag during Pride Month, but what do you do to celebrate that community any other time of the year? You're only doing it because it is a good photo op and it's convenient for them to look good. So representation matters every day in every walk of life, in every experience. And the more, like you said, the more it's expressed, shown, and supported, the easier it is to have conversations and educate people on what is the right thing to do and what is unacceptable. Because I believe most of us try to make conscious decisions on using our words and our actions, and there are some people who need to think about that a little bit more and grow and learn how to respect people that are different from themselves, because there's an endless amount of learning for all of us to do. And the more you talk about the way we are all different, the easier it is for us to really embrace that change and difference in one another, not have such a polarization and such extremes in very sensitive topics or situations.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to wait until a drastic things happen before it starts to matter. It should just always matter because it's something that does matter.
Yep.
We're gonna go it off on like a whole thing. This has nothing to do with the book, okay? This book's amazing and it shows great representation, and that's like a big thing in this story is representation of, you know, having an African American woman be training all these people and having somebody that is openly bisexual and out doing training her own class, or having somebody that, you know, maybe disabled and being able to still do things that matter to them. Having that representation, it goes such a long way. Even though it might not seem like a big thing to you because it doesn't have anything to do with you, doesn't mean that it doesn't matter.
Right.
Some things I didn't like about the book. So I'm going back to the book. Not just the world in general.
Right.
Some things I didn't like. I didn't like the order of the book. I felt very confused in some places. The timeline was just a little wonky. I got the beginning, I got the end, but the middle, I felt confused. I think if there was like a calendar system or like a year attached to the chapter title, it might help me a little bit more. And she does label the years throughout, but I felt myself kind of getting confused because at the beginning of the book, in the prologue, she's like, hey, this isn't going to go in a normal storytelling way. It's going to be, when you tell your friend a story, you don't go in the way that it happened. You go by the most important things. And like, cool, if that's how you want to tell it, but I just found it a little confusing on some parts.
That's a good point that you make. I didn't even think about that, but I definitely agree.
So the big one is, so she was talking about her friend Tiffany.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She was talking about Tiffany's marriage. So Tiffany was in a abusive marriage with this guy that won't be named because he's garbage. I didn't like the inclusion of it because I don't see why we needed to talk about it, because it doesn't seem like it was her story to tell. If she wanted to introduce the, you know, domestic violence in her story to get the awareness out there, but when she started to compare her relationship with Brian to Tiffany and her husband's relationship, I just didn't like it. I was like, no, like, it's not the same. And we'll talk about Brian. We'll talk about Brian in a little bit. I think this whole book would have been completely the same without that chapter in it.
Yeah.
And again, like, you know, she's trying to put that inclusion of, like, you know, speak out when you are in a bad relationship and stuff like that and help your friends. But the way she put it in there, it just felt a little forced. Like, she just wanted to get the chapter in.
Okay.
I just really didn't like it when she started to compare her own relationship to Tiffany's relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you.
Again, I understand what she was trying to do with the chapter. I just don't think it was necessary.
Right.
Mostly because it just didn't feel like her story to tell. Like, if she got permission from Tiffany, then that's different. But, I don't know, it felt weird. It felt like a little gossipy, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. I really do. I guess because I'm always intrigued in memoirs to, like, keep going and keep discovering new information. I don't ever think about, like, oh, that didn't really need to be there. I'm just, like, excited for the journey, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of look at it from a different, like, a writer's perspective, I guess. I'm listening to
you do.
The structure where you're trying to listen to the story, I guess. And that's totally fine. And read the book any way you want, if that's how you want to do it. I personally haven't read a lot of memoirs, biographies and stuff, so it's definitely a new world, and I'm excited that you are forcing me to read them. And by forcing, I mean by you forcing me to read them, by me forcing you to come onto the podcast.
You know, it's a give and take.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. It's, again, not a super long book. I think a lot of the
Mhm.
structure of it was very simple, easy to digest. I do want to talk about the writing style. I look at it from a kind of a writer's perspective. You could tell that she was not a writer. And that is okay. That is okay. You don't need to be a writer to write a book. But some of the structures of, like, the sentences and the way that she was giving information felt a bit off, but I didn't hate
Mhm.
it. I didn't hate it. It kind of threw me off a little bit.
I guess because sometimes my brain is moving faster than my mouth. I don't look too into the moments of, like, discombobulation kind of when it comes to writing style. I'm not a writer. It seems like information is being presented. I'm not thinking twice about it.
That's okay. That is okay.
I like though that you're able to see a structure or lack thereof when it comes to someone's writing style. I want to say she had someone helping her write the book. Is that called a ghostwriter or something?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
okay. Wouldn't they kind of take the reins on writing style? I don't know how that works.
Written, it says Tunde, and then with Hilary Lifton. So maybe Hillary was the writer of it. But usually what ghostwriters do, they will take the story that the person has and literally write the story for them. I don't know the degree of how much say they get into it. I think that they mostly, it's not the same as editing. It's like they literally write the story.
Okay.
So I don't know the degree of how much it was into it. Could be on both. Maybe she wanted it written a certain way, so it felt more personal than a book. It felt more like a conversation.
Yeah.
I have 16 years of writing under my belt, different look, like, aspect on things, just because I have trained my eye to do that. But again, I like that it isn't a super noticeable thing. If you are just here to enjoy the book, you're going to enjoy it without worry.
Got a good eye, Jen.
So one main thing that I was actually kind of surprised about, because again, I went in not really knowing anything about her, which, oh my gosh, I look at the book right now, she's such a gorgeous person.
She is gorgeous in every look that she presents. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, she's gorgeous. And on the cover, I'll have a picture up on Instagram, or you can look at the cover on the podcast itself, but buzzed hair, and she has her iconic red lipstick. And I think one of the major themes in this book is talking about how hair and makeup in society has such a chokehold on everything. Hair especially, because obviously you have some religions and community of people that the hair is extremely important to them. That was one thing with her, as she was talking about cutting her hair and buzzing it off, and how impactful that was in her life. Communities are shaped around something as simple as hair and makeup, and how it kind of defines a person's confidence boosts that people get.
She talked about her hair and just the African American community in general, and like her specifically Nigerian community. Hair is part of your identity. So for someone like myself, who's a Hispanic white woman, hair really doesn't have that much of an impact on who I am. I have always talked about this. I'm like, I just want to shave my head. I don't like hair on me. Like, hair to me is such an aversion, but I have long hair. It's a very complicated situation I'm in. Yeah. You know, some people have a very different experience of how they identify themselves, and that part of them means their hair is a very big characteristic of who they are as an individual. So absolutely respect that, and history shows us that it usually takes quite a bit of time for someone who is in the Black community and their hair grows at a much slower pace, and there's a lot more maintenance to it. It's very expensive, and it is part of their identity, and that's not something I can necessarily relate to, because my hair grows fast. So if I feel like changing it, I can do whatever I want to it quickly, and there's like a very quick bounce back to that. For Tunde, she talks about it's a very, very drastic change, and I'm sure based off of Nigerian traditions and culture in general, for someone to buzz their hair when they have like such beautiful hair and they take care of it and maintain it, cut all your hair off is like a huge shock factor, and maybe something that other people would have an opinion about, but do we necessarily care? No, we don't care.
No.
Because this is my body.
Yeah.
That is her body. She gets to choose what it's hair.
Yeah.
And we need to be comfortable with obviously respecting people's choices with hair, but also not making it a big deal when someone chooses to change the color of their hair, the length of their hair, the braid of their hair. Like, and you don't touch people's hair. We need to put that, explain that to people. You don't get to touch a pregnant woman's belly. You don't get to touch anyone's hair. It's not your space and your thing to be touching.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting to see how some people react when they are put in the situation of like someone grabbing their hair or like touching someone's fro or touching someone's braids, and it's like, whoa, 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 like hands off.
Yeah.
This is not yours, because it's part of their identity. It's something that is sensitive to some people, and that is just something that needs to be respected. But I really respect when people share their stories about their hair and their makeup and their physical appearance, how much that matters to them, because Tunde talked about how it's kind of like a sidestep from hair and makeup, but body image at the beginning of the book, and being young and having judge you based on your appearance, and like, are you quote unquote overweight or too heavy for your age? And as you grow up, your mind is usually conditioned to be so hyper aware and conscious of like, do I look a certain way? Am I standing out too much? Do I need to eat less? It's a very weird balance that I feel most women or identify as women, are hyper aware of their appearance and their body in general. And part of your body is your hair and the makeup that you put on it. So I think it's a very delicate balance that most of us deal with.
Yeah, still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. A great self-expression, way to express yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think with her saying that, you know, when she did buzz her hair, it had all that responsibility of her culture behind it, because she felt like she was taking a step away, but it was also so freeing for her.
Yeah.
And the confidence that she got from it. Simply putting on the red lipstick that she wore and now continues to wear, or, you know, when she had lost all the weight, she grew confident in herself, but she learned that it isn't all those little things that make her confident. It's like who she is what makes her confident.
Exactly.
And being in herself.
Unapologetically herself.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's a great theme that she talks about in this book. So who would you say in this one is your favorite character? Which feels weird saying favorite character, favorite person maybe, because these are like real people.
My favorite character is going to be Tunde's present self. My favorite version of her and my favorite part of her life is when she allowed herself her truest self, and that was during the Speak Up ride. I think it was in chapter 9. Is one of the quotes that I wrote down is, "One thing for sure though, I wasn't going to hold back. I had always designed my rides to be as inclusive as possible, to welcome everybody, but it was okay if this ride made some people uncomfortable. People need to be uncomfortable to change." She ended up having, I want to say, about 22,000 people show up to her Peloton class. Like, that is a lot of people. And I love, obviously, the growth that she's had through her life and that she talks about. But my favorite character is her in this moment and then afterward, because our favorite self is probably not our younger self. But watching her become just so wise and confident and being able to pass that along and empower others really is probably my favorite character.
Awesome. Yeah. I liked being able to break apart not only Tunde's life stages, but also our own life stages of who we were when we were younger. It's definitely not who we are now. Because of how she introduces herself in this book, you get to break down the different aspects of her life and like when she was that person during this time and the lessons that she learned during those times.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite character or person, I guess, was her mother. Her mother was such a strong component in her life, even from when she was so young and was still learning who she was and who she wanted to be and kind of coming into herself. Her mother cared so deeply about things, and she taught so many lessons. And some of the lessons maybe Tunde didn't realize until much later after she had passed, but she learned those lessons over time. And having to follow along with her mother through the grief of her son and her husband, just learning about Tunde's mother that way was very raw, and I really loved seeing the way that she introduced that through her daughter's eyes.
Their friendship is so beautiful, and her mom would be so proud of her today.
Oh, absolutely. I think she was always proud of her. Always.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just taking a second here to give a shout out to the truly amazing, spectacular, group of people, the Patreon.
We have Nick W, Bree P, Patrick C, Shelby K, Jack J, Tim M, Emily P, Ashley A, Anastasia H, Janeth P, and Lulu.
Thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. It means the absolute world to me. I enjoy doing this, and I'm glad that, some people are listening to it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you guys want to be part of the Patreon shout out, head over to Patreon and subscribe today. A lot of, again, a big theme within this story is how life is literally a journey. And if you want to take it on the highway, you can. Just take Rascal Flats with you.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, that was really bad. Okay, but life is a journey, okay? It's not something that happens fast, and it's not something that happens all at once. It is something that takes time. The things I really liked about this book was her advancement into the Peloton career. She'd had the interview, she did an amazing job, and still didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So she went back to the makeup studio, and then she came back, and she got it. And it's always about taking those second chances, and if you fail, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means
Mm-hmm.
that next time you just try again. And you see her mindset of how she thought she did such an amazing job and was going to get it the first try and did not get it, and how distraught she was about it, but it didn't change her perspective on things too much. She still was like, I am an powerful woman and I still want to do this. I'm going to take a little break for a little bit so I can collect myself, but I'm going to get right back out there and I'm going to do it again.
I really respect people that show endless resilience, because it is not an easy thing to do.
No.
And sometimes people make it look easier than it is. I have been told no, as I'm sure many of us have in careers. I process that and deal with it afterwards, is I'm going to see what I can learn from the situation, and then I'm going to make adjustments to myself, or just forget about that opportunity meaning something more than it really needed to mean. Let's say our heart is in this particular role, we're chasing after that job or that company, but really it wasn't meant to be, and some other thing in this world, in this universe, decided that to present something else maybe shortly after or farther down the line that was a better opportunity to take. It's hard in tough moments to really see through to the good things. I think that's just an ongoing struggle with a lot of people. And if you haven't struggled through that, I mean, what a fucking privilege. It is a privilege to not have struggle or not have certain opportunities in your life. It's a privilege to not experience that. But on the other hand, it is a privilege to have that experience, because you have the opportunity to pivot and to grow and to be even better in the next situation. You can maybe, let's say, Tunde, she did her best in the first audition for Peloton. She had the right music, she had the right look, she had the right energy, she had everything that was going great for her. But I believe that no for her allowed her to step away, to process, to build her strength even more, go into the second interview even more confident. But there's a difference between having confidence and an ego. And I believe once you get into the ego, you're way too selfish. You don't even deserve that chance. And shit will fall down around you when your ego takes a hold of the situation too much.
Yeah.
But I really noticed that she accepted both outcomes of the situation when it came to her getting the job the second time and maybe her not getting the job. But it took her time to realize and to learn how to grow from that first no to really be ready for the yes. And it only takes one yes, whether you've applied to 20 jobs, whether you've asked for a raise, whether you've worked hard and someone else that didn't work as hard as you got it before you. You're building the power every single chance you get. And that only comes from the work that you do yourself. You can't give that credit to anyone else but yourself. So giving yourself grace to push through the no's, to just come back even stronger for whatever next step comes your way. I believe Tunde did a great job of expressing that and really showing that type of resilience can be really powerful and empower other people along the way, and you not even know it.
Exactly, yeah. Having that no doesn't necessarily mean that all that experience and gain along the way just goes away. It's still there, so you can always build on top of it. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, whether that be fate or destiny, whatever it is, but I'm a firm believer of that, and if it's something that you're passionate about, having a no, it's gonna suck, but it's not the end of the line. There's always something out there that's better than what you've imagined. If you get a no, it doesn't mean that it's a no forever or that it was a no for a specific reason. It was a no because it just wasn't the right time for it. Like you had said, there's always going to be a yes out there. You have to just keep striving for it. And if you're passionate about it and it's something that you authentically love, then you're going to get a yes in the end. There's a yes out there. You just have to give it time for all the chips to align, or the stars or the planets, whatever you want to say it is. But it also comes with power and the reasoning behind it. You can't let the world move around you. When you fail, you have to propel yourself towards it. So take the no as you will. Let it empower you. Don't let it consume you. Strive for something better, stronger for yourself. Again, if you're passionate about something, it's gonna happen. And it happened to Tunde, okay? It happened to her.
Yes! Shining star, the queen of it all.
The queen.
I just want to meet her. Like, her smile. Look at her smile.
I know.
I just want to, like, high five her and be like, yes, ma'am. Girl, look at you.
I love this picture on the back. Oh, she's gorgeous.
Right?
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So what is a piece of advice or some advice that you would give to your high school self?
And I kind of share this advice with my niece and nephew who are 8 and 6. I would definitely say a grade does not determine your value or self-worth. Being book smart is good to a certain degree, but also knowing social skills, being good at it, and having general life skills in general is going to be just as important as being intelligent or book smart. To be completely transparent, I hated school. Hated it. I loved like the arts and I loved algebra, but nothing else, like no other math. And part of what I would also tell my younger self is there are teachers, but not everyone teaches the same. Therefore, your experience will not be the same as everyone else's. So someone might be more passionate about music or the arts, but that all depends on their proximity and privilege to have access to that. So we probably all have untapped resources that we never knew existed or don't know that presently exist, and trying not to be so hard on yourself based off of a letter grade give you the best peace of mind going through school. Obviously, be respectful, be diligent at completing your work. Don't bring down others for them having different learning abilities and just learning differently in general. Everyone learns at a different pace, and I just believe my experience in the public school system in Michigan and Metro Detroit specifically is like everyone's experience is so different, and I hated school unless I was around my friends. And not getting an A, or if I had a couple C's on my report card, who the fuck cares? It is a grade, and once you leave and get into adulthood and the real world, there are only certain things that will depend on having a certain level of book smart that is captured by a high school education.
Yeah.
You cannot be the most intelligent person through high school, and you can grow so much knowledge in college and beyond, and you don't need a college degree to define your intelligence. All that being said, I just try not to be so hard on yourself when it comes to grades, because it only matters so much. Just get by and be a good person through the journey and the process.
No, I absolutely agree. When I was in high school, I almost didn't graduate. I never went. I hated school as well. And then I graduated, and then I went to college, and I was on the dean list every single semester, graduated with 3.8 GPA. I did great in college. It's a definitely different experience and a different atmosphere High school is toxic, okay? Everyone knows that.
It so is.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's rough, and I feel like it just keeps getting worse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Some advice I would give for my high school self. So emotions are very fleeting. They are quick, they're fast. But the outcomes of what you do with those emotions can last a lifetime.
Oh, love that. Yes. Say it again, Jen. Say it again. Like Tunde, she's got to say it twice.
Say it for the people in the back. I don't know what I said, so I kind of blacked out.
I feel that.
Feel what you need to feel. Obviously, when you're a teenager, everything feels 10 times worse than it is, and that's okay. Feel what you need to feel, but don't let the chaos consume. Find an outlet. Finding an outlet is extremely important, whether that be sports, arts, a person. Like, find an outlet that helps you get through what you need to get through. And then obviously organize myself. I was a very unorganized person when I was in high school. Again, I barely graduated. And now I'm an extremely organized person. Organizing yourself, it helps with the chaos and makes it seem less intense, I guess.
Wise advice.
So who in this one would you say is your favorite relationship?
I kind of have a tie as to who my favorite relationship is in this book. Tunde and her mother, I'm very sorry, I cannot remember her mother's name. Rest in peace. And it's also Kim and Tunde. So Kim is one of Tunde's best friends and has been there along through her life journey.
Yeah.
Tunde and her mom really just capture such a beautiful love, like a mother-daughter love, and they make such a great friendship out of that. And there's just a lot of respect. And growing up, sometimes as a kid, you always feel like I can't say certain things, I can't act a certain way, I can't talk about certain things because I'll get yelled at or I won't be understood. And I feel as though Tunde and her mom had such an open relationship and dialogue to feel comfortable talking about just about anything and being able to be vulnerable. Part of being able to be vulnerable with anyone in your life helps you to grow and not have such a tough time when moments are hard. You learn how to manage through your emotions and your feelings and everything. So it really just allows you to take the time to navigate those emotions and those feelings because your mother birthed you. Like, you were in that woman's body. There's a special bond and connection that people have with their mothers, and some people don't have that relationship, but I really loved and respected the relationship between Tunde and her mother. What about you?
Obviously, Tunde and her mother is kind of the main relationship. One of the things that really stuck out to me was hair day.
Oh, yeah.
When they would wash their hair. And they were each other's rock during their grief with her brothers and dad/husband, you know. I want to read a part in the end of the book where Tunde...
What hymn is it? Take us to the... Is it the letter?
It's the letter, yes. I want to read just a small section here.
I feel like I'm in church. Page something of your hymn. Okay.
Go to Jonathan 19, please. And we could read along. So she wrote a letter to her mother after she had passed, and it was in the Well Plus Good online magazine. And she says, "Today I searched for a picture that captured the energy you brought to this world. I wanted a picture that encompassed some of your most defining traits. I looked for one that showed your sarcasm, your wit, your power, and your grace. I searched for a picture that would perfectly display our mother-daughter connection and your grand love for your children. I wanted to find something that embodied who you are with one single glance. I searched, and then I stopped looking. When I look for you, I find me. I am you. I am all of you." Oh God, I love that. That gave me chills when I read it.
Right? I'm like, you feel her energy writing that, right? I love that you chose that moment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's very, you said the mother-daughter connection that she has is just so imperative and so important for her entire life story. I think that her mother's support was extremely vital and helped her get through a lot. So I really loved their connection.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Speaking of a relationship, Brian, her boyfriend. So I have a question. So she dated Brian, and then they broke up. And then he lived rent-free in her apartment for 3 months. No, I'm sorry, sis, but no.
Excuse me. This is a one-income household, and there's 2 people here.
I was like, pardon me? And then he broke in when he lived in California with her and she went to New York. And yeah, she came back and he was breaking into her apartment after she told him to leave. Hello?
And then he broke into the neighbor's apartment upstairs.
Yeah.
And was showering, and she was like, hold on a second. She did her own little, she like Googled FBI tips and tricks, and she was like, this is up to me now. So she took it on. She was a little private investigator. Like, Brian, go somewhere else, figure yourself out, quit infesting someone's life with your toxic traits. I know he went through a lot in the foster system and as a foster kid, but like, you can't treat people like that. There comes a certain point in time in your life where you grow the fuck up. You're an adult. You make decisions. And if you're hurting people along the way, being an intruder, that you're not welcome, obviously. Like, not allowed. Not allowed.
And she gave him a good grace period, like 3 months.
She was so nice to him. I would have cussed that motherfucker out. I would have been like, here's what we're not going to do. And I would have...
that.
Yeah.
Like, I get that they broke apart with a mutual respect. Like, they were both respectfully were like, yeah. And then he kind of latched on a little bit because he wasn't ready to let go. And then it was too much. I was like, the whole time I was reading that section, I was like, oh my God, she was way too nice to him.
Yes.
Like, way too nice.
Yes, but that's who she is. You're right.
Yeah.
She was way too nice. I'm like, oh man, I just want to punch Brian in the face.
Yeah, taking advantage of her in that state.
What type of friend would you be if one of your friends were in Tunde's spot where the boyfriend was breaking into the apartment? How would you show up? What kind of friend would you be?
If they were breaking into the apartment. So there's a different scenario, because if he was staying at the apartment or if he was breaking in.
I would say breaking in.
Okay, breaking in, the police would be called.
Yes, okay, thank you.
The police would be called. I'd be bringing trash bags and collecting all of his stuff, and we would be throwing it out. Like, I get it. He's in a tough spot. I understand that, but they're not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's not her responsibility anymore. He is a grown man. I would call the police because he's now breaking and entering. He's committing a crime. And then if he needs help, then we'll get you help. Let's go. But no. Yeah, if somebody was breaking into my friend's house and staying there after they have already broken up, I would be calling the police because that is a crime.
Yeah. I would be showing up with like 10 friends deep and been like, pack your fucking shit up and don't make this mistake again. We might just make him disappear.
Oh. You didn't hear. This is not evidence. You cannot use this podcast as evidence.
Allegedly, Brian disappeared. We don't know what happened to him.
Do you want to play a little game?
I'm so ready. Games are the best.
Okay. Cycling, being a Peloton, you have to have some music to lift the mood, get the body going. In her book, she had described some of the songs that she had put on her playlist. So I'm going to read the song, and you're going to tell me if it was during her cycling sessions or not.
Okay.
All right. Demons by Imagine Dragons.
Ooh, I'm going to say no, but it's probably a really good one.
Nope, it was not.
Oh, I was right?
Yeah, you were right. Just Fayu by Kamayu. I'm so sorry if I get that wrong.
She played it.
Yes, she did play that one.
Did you listen to the song?
I did not listen. Some of these I do know, but I didn't listen to them.
I think I've heard of the song.
The Greatest by Sia.
Oh, yeah, she for sure listened to that.
I love Sia so much.
Me too!
Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy.
No! She did not play that.
Feeling Good, Nina Simone.
It's gotta be a yes. She played it.
Yep.
Yes!
She did.
I'm gonna play that when we get off.
Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus.
Dude, I'm just envisioning Tunde on a ball like Miley Cyrus. I know it's probably not a song that she played. It's funny. No, I'm going to say no, she didn't play it.
Yeah, she did not. Hello by Adele.
Oh, love Adele. I don't believe she played it or talked about it in the book.
Nope.
I have all of them right so far?
Yeah.
Dang, okay.
You're killing it.
Yes.
Young Blood by 5 Seconds of Summer.
I don't know. My guess is no, she did not play it.
She did.
She did play it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, got one wrong.
Wow, you got one wrong. That's embarrassing.
Whatever.
Trouble by J. Cole.
Ooh, wait. Love J. Cole. She did play it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm gonna say this wrong. I apologize. Rihanna by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
Rihanna.
okay. Yeah, I don't know. She did not play it.
She did. It was it was the song she played during her interview, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like maybe the very first song she played during her cycling session, but she did do that one.
Okay.
All right, Happiness by 3 Days Grace.
Oh. She did not play.
Nope, she did not. Yay!
All right. Yay!
I think you got 2 wrong.
At least 2, yeah.
Select.
Select.
For your prize, you get an unedited version of this podcast. So is there anything in this book that you would have done differently, would have changed? Again, this is a memoir, so she can tell the story any way she wants. That's completely her freedom. But if you were just kind of doing this your own way, how would you do it? Would you do anything differently?
A few things I would have done differently. I mentioned it at the beginning, but adding in more photos, I believe that's such a cute touch to put in a book. And the audio version that I listened to was so beautiful. I love hearing the book through the author's voice, but I felt like the added perk of having an actual book would have been to have photos in it.
Yeah.
And you had touched on it earlier, but I would have set up a particular timeline to keep the story on a good, digestible pace. I don't know. I guess there's not really too much more that I would have changed or done differently.
No, I definitely agree with you. Having that timeline and just having that a little bit solid structure to follow along with the way that she's telling the story. That was really the only thing that I had to. But I think the way she told it was great. I love the acronyms. I know we didn't really talk about it, but I love the way she broke it up.
Right. You did touch on it at the beginning. Speak, which, like, looking at the book, you wouldn't suspect that Speak is an acronym.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until I was making that summary. And then I was like, oh, I see that now. Because I'm an idiot, so.
Speak is surrender. P is for power. E is for empathy. A is for authenticity. 5. K is for knowledge.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is almost time to go. But before we go, we do one last thing. We do a rating scale here on the Book Stop, but we do our own thing. So I would give Speak, Find Your Voice, Trust Your Gut, and Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be by Tunde Oyeneyin. 6 Pelotons cycling from California to New York out of 10.
Oh, nice!
I really liked it. I am just not personally a memoir type of person in the sense that I find it a little bit harder to kind of tap into the characters because I have this ideology of like creating my own, but it's also like a real person, so it's hard to do that. But I think the story was really well done. Again, a little bit falling behind on the structure and a little of the writing style, but I think she told the book the way she wanted to, and she did a really good job doing it.
We're going to do a lipstick scale. We'll say a light to dark lip. An 8. A solid 8 for me because I loved how you could hear her voice. I could envision myself through each experience that she described in the book. I don't believe it's going to be her last book. From what I can tell, she has a lot more to share. But I would say it's a solid 8 red lip. I don't know what shade that would be. Maybe a
like a rose? Like no, if it's like a dark
like a
red.
blood red would probably be the darkest.
Blood red, is that more of like an orangey red though, or is that blood orange?
I don't know.
It's a red color.
It's like a girl's night out red.
It's like a ruby? Like
a ruby red. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Book Stop. We always have a great time when you're on. I love
too.
it.
I love being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on and getting me to read these books that I honestly never would have expected myself to read, and I'm enjoying them.
I love forcing you to do things.
Thank you. We don't have anything scheduled right now for this year, but we will be seeing Abby on next year, I'm sure. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Most likely, yeah. 2024, here we come.
You gotta come in with another memoir, like a biography or something.
It's my vibe, 100%. I love nonfiction.
It.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate you, your time. The audience, thank you for tuning into the Book Stop. You all are amazing. Jen, you're such a beautiful host.
You're an even more beautiful guest.
Stop it right now. Bye. See you next time.
Thank you for turning the pages with us today. If you've enjoyed this episode, show your support by leaving a review, sharing the episode, and following the podcast on Instagram at The Book Stop Podcast. Join us on Patreon for early access to episodes and other additional content. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Hope you are too.